March has begun.
Yay!
That means it's time to put in our spring bulbs and spring flowers in the window boxes that we put in front of our house. Today we're working in the back garden because the street is a little bit noisy and we thought it'd be easier to show everything back here.
And the sun is really nice back here.
Oh, it's beautiful today.
Right? So actually what we put in last winter, or like before winter, we put all these pine decoration in. So the great thing about these flower boxes is that we can change it throughout the whole year, which is I really love. And what we have had different kind of pine in, and they are really starting to look a little bit sad. So we're starting putting that out. So we have like a light variety here. Really pretty, and then the green is still, just notice here, is still really pretty and green. So that's
very nice. And we do this right at the end whenever we take out the, well, no, that's not true. We do it when, like October. Yeah,
around October.
Around October.
Yeah.
And then it looks beautiful all Christmas and then all through the winter.
But now, like the skimia here starting to look really sad. We have some Christian also in, which is really time to. So now, it's March, it's time really to start putting in, just freshen them up. It's really gonna look nice. So we're gonna move all these out here, just like that.
And what we have under here, as we take out, I'm glad you didn't say gently, usually you say very gently.
Not this one.
So just take these guys out, and then under here, we have the soil, but under the soil, it's actually lined with plastic. So between the coconut liner and the soil, we have a liner of plastic, and we put that in because we found that it's really good at helping retain water. These are in front of the house where it gets all of that afternoon sun, especially once the days start getting longer, and that just keeps them from drying out and us having to water as much.
Yes. So now we're almost done here. Okay, so everything is gone from the pine decoration here, and the soil is really moist and nice here still, not even dry at all. It has rained a lot in Denmark too, but it's really looking fine. And what you can do, we're actually just going to leave it because it's still really rich after one season. You could also like give it some fertilizer if you want during the summer, but with these spring flowers, they're really going to thrive here, and they're going to be in the front of the house getting a lot of sun. And what we have already, that we don't swap everything. You can also put stuff in that, so also save money on keeping the ivy here, and you can plant different, they come in different colors. And we kind of just trim that back, and now they also get a little bit more light from the pine is gone. And they're going to really look nice with a mix of the spring flowers we're going to have here.
But speaking of not having to replace everything, these spring bulbs here, let me point, ta-da, these were actually in the flower boxes last year.
Yes.
When they finished, we dug them up, potted them, put them in the greenhouse so that we didn't have to buy them again this year. We have some.
There's a narcissus here, and we also have some Perennial hyacinths. So a great way to save money is when you go out and find them in the supermarket. Mine are not as long ahead as the one in the supermarket, but the narcissus here, for example, after they finished in the spring, I took them out, let them dry in the shed, and then I planted them or put them in these pots here late autumn, close to winter, and then they started to sprout. So it's a great way to reuse your bulbs. And look at these ones, they have really great rooting system actually.
They are ready to go in.
If you want to be a little bit ahead, since mine are not, like for example these ones, the Perennial hyacinth here, the ones they have almost the flower buds coming, I could have put them in the greenhouse. Maybe next year, we talked about that, we can give them a little head start by putting them in the greenhouse where there's a little bit warmer, so we would have a bit more flower. But what we're also going to put in, just to give that pop of color, which I really love, is the violas. And you can get them in so many different colors. I love yellow. We always discuss like what color scheme should we have this year, but we always tend on yellow. That really gives a great pop of color. And then we have these, really look at this one, blues here. Let me turn it.
Isn't that pretty?
And some whites as well. So really give a mix, and they will notice. I actually just get some really small ones. You can really pop them in because very quickly, once it gets warmer, they will really like fill up the whole space. And the great thing about the violas are, even now, it could be get like next week, I think it's going to be 12, 15 degrees, they say. Let's wait and see. But even if it gets cool temperatures, they can handle a little bit of frost. And then we have these ones.
Let me get close. It looks like candy.
The bellies here, they are really, that's one of your favorites actually from the spring one. We always discuss, but we must have violas. I think they're really great. But then once it comes closer to summer, they tend to get a little bit big. But what I do, actually just prune it back a little bit. And then it will actually come back again with a strong flowering again. So you can, because they tend to get really tall and leggy, you can really prune those back, and then you have a second flowering. But in the summer, we're going to add a little bit more. So in that way, you can have hanging petunias and things like that later on. But you can actually put in whatever you want to do. But just if you're in an area where it's kind of can be really frost, be aware of what kind of plants you put in. Because if it's something that can't handle frost, it's just a pity putting it in the flower box here and it won't survive. So do notice what kind you can put in here in the early spring. And we live in a very cold country, so we always have to be careful. But this one, definitely viola, is one of my top favorite. And then with a mix of the spring bulbs, that's going to be pretty.
Okay, well, speaking of putting them in, why don't we do that? We have 4 out in the front, so let's get started.
Yes. So before I start just planning out, it's really nice to get them out of the pot and kind of place them, because that'll really give you a visual of, okay, how would it look later on. And close, I have a great tip for me is rather plant a little bit close, because it will take some time before it starts to close in, and it will look really, if you put a hand, like when I do the perennials, I don't use the same method of having a hand space in between, because you really want to have that wow effect right away. So what I do, just place some around, and the white ones play a little around, I don't mind being in different colors.
Exactly, and especially out in the window box, because in the garden it's different. Things can grow in slowly, but this is where we want quite immediate impact. And we will admit, when it's hanging up on the wall, it's a lot easier, but it wasn't great to show out front. So the bucket is doing a lot of work.
We're only going to show this one here. The rest I'm going to
The rest we'll have to do out in front of the house.
While it hangs. But it's easy to take in. And another thing I want to show, just play around with, because we do have a lot of the violas, because they give a lot of color. And then I'll put these in. But I just want to show this one, the bellies here. And that also goes for when you have perennials. You see here, they really, because they have been growing in this pot for very, very long time. And they're just really happy. You can almost hear them screaming just because they're so excited to be out of the pot. But they have been sitting in this pot for a very long time. And so it's important to really kind of, I'm not going to say gently, just, you can be rough with it, but kind of loosen the bottom here, because otherwise the plant will have a tendency, once it's even in the ground, keep on having these roots, the new roots, just really compact. So you'll get a happier and stronger plant by just loosening up here on the end, because then they really search down for water. There we go. Just a little bit, so those roots can really thrive even better. There we go.
More than just a little bit.
That was a lot, but it's going to be fine.
If we had hair, that's what we look like in the morning.
So here we have the pellius, and I just want to see how they look. I haven't had them out. So I push them a little bit here on the sides, give them a little squeeze, because then they are easy to just pop out. Oh, look at that root system.
They're ready.
So these are from, I would say November I put them in. They were bone dry, the bulbs. And look how they're doing. Very soon they're coming with the flower there. And this is really healthy. What you can do, if you also want another way of saving money, you could take this one, and then you could actually divide it. I put a lot in here, but you could actually divide them here. I always say gently. But here, even with the perennials, because see, they haven't even divided here. They have grown more here. So that's a great way to have plants for bigger areas, and then you can have them repeating. That's a great thing, like having the pellius in this corner, and then maybe repeat it over here in the front in the other side. So you don't have to go out and buy way too many plants. The same goes with the narcissus here. Give it a little push on the sides here, and that one is really also grown.
We can see that. So and when we were at the garden center today getting the violas and the bellis, we saw these guys already in flower.
Yeah.
And we'll have to wait a little bit longer for flowers, but it's worth it.
See here? Wow, look at that root
It's
system.
nice.
That's great, right? And that one you could divide too, but I actually, and that the narcissus here is gonna get big, so I'm gonna put that in the back. Also because then when you are on the street or from inside, it's closer to the wall and not messing up the height. But that one I'm gonna put there in the back. So you could also sow these in autumn, and you could make your own violas if you wanna like collect seeds. But we do the easy way with the violas because we don't have the space for. We have so many baby perennials.
We have so many other things that you want to
Right.
grow.
But
and those
see-
we'll just buy.
So kind of like place it around, and then we'll start planting them in. So
It's going to look great.
yeah, right?
Let's dig some holes.
Okay. Oops, we forgot one. Where should we put this white one? Look at that one. Where do you think? Should it be?
Are you asking me?
Yes. What do you think? In the back or in the front? What
Did
do
you hear me say, ooh, I get to choose? Uh,
Where's the empty spot? Oh, wow.
front.
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 That was a very hard
It
decision.
was tough.
Wow, that took.
I'm not usually asked for my opinion
Oh
around
my
here.
goodness, yes you are. Okay. Okay, so it's time to hang them up. Now we just have to water them. So thank you so much for watching. Moin!